that there's a disconnect between who we think our parents are and who they actually are. So we're really not healing our parents. We're healing our perception of our parents because they live within us. And when we heal our perception of our parents, then our perception of ourselves completely change.
Hey guys, welcome to our SoulFam Podcast, where I interview space holders from all over the world. I am your host. My name is Karolina, and I am the Connection Catalyst. I help spiritual entrepreneurs experience deeper connection with themselves, with others, and with the universe. Today on the show, we have Fergus, a trauma healer. Welcome to the show, Fergus. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. Beautiful day today.
Yes, I can see that. It's a beautiful day outside and here as well. I just cannot show you guys because then the view is going to be disrupted. And I'm just so happy that we finally started this conversation because we were struggling with the microphone and with everything. So sorry guys if the audio is not that good today, but we still want to do it and deliver value to you. But my microphone just is naughty today and it's just not working and not working the way I want. But I hope that you will forgive us, and the next time it's gonna be way better quality. So let's jump into Fergus's story. I would love to hear, how did your self-development start and why did you become a healer? What brought you to this mission in life to help others?
Well, how long have you got? It's like, we could go for 2 hours if you want, but basically, I'll give you the short version. I was living the traditional path. Like, I grew up in Ireland, and then I went to college to study computer engineering, and I went and worked for like few corporations, and I was like stuck in that like mode all the time of like, just okay, I'm going to make as much money as possible for me to survive and have the like best life I can. Okay, so that was my goal, like when I came out of college, was to do that. And little did I know that was all driven from trauma and driven from the traditional path that I thought I was on. Okay, and then when I actually achieved that, I said to myself, is that it? Like, is that like, surely there's like more to this, okay? Like, surely there's more to this life. And that's when I started to read different books. I started to read, firstly I read like Tim Ferriss and Tony Robbins and like all these different people, like all like, come on, you can do it and you can break out, you can be free and you can have the best life possible. And that kind of like stirred up something within me, and I didn't really know what it was. And then I had this like amazing workshop that I went to. It was called Letting Go, and it was all about like fully letting go of who you think you are and embracing who you really are, allowing that to come through you. And my best friend had like friggin' messaged me like 20 times and called me like 15 times in the morning of the workshop. And on the night before, I was out partying, and this was like part of my whole life is partying. And like I opened my phone, I was like 15 missed calls, like this must be important. So I like jumped on a bicycle and like rode in the city of Dublin, like all through the traffic and everything. And I got to the workshop like half an hour late. And I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna go into this workshop, see what the hell's going on. I'm like half hungover right now, and it's gonna be okay. And once I went in, I like sobered up within like 2 minutes, because the guy was talking about how he had built an image of who he thought he was, like he had built a character, and he had to let all that go in order to become like truly fulfilled. That like really like touched something within my soul. I was like, okay, all right, I gotta like, I'm gonna just like do this. I'm gonna just like let go of everything. So when I left the workshop, I like for the next few days at work, I was just seeing how mundane my existence was, of just like living the same routine like over and over again. I'm like, I have to break out of this. So I'm going to just let everything go. So I decided then to like leave my apartment that I had in Dublin. It was like a rooftop apartment. I was able to see the sunset from it and everything. And I had my job that was paying me really well. And I was like the youngest ever hired in the company and all this stuff. And I let all that go. And I was like, oh, there's something else for me. And I started traveling the world then, basically. I started off in Barcelona. Then I went to Valencia. I traveled all around Spain in like in a rental car that we lived in, me and my best friend. And through that time, I was like uncovering so many patterns that were actually built from society, because when I was living in the car, I was like out of society. So I was like, okay, so I'm none of those things. So who am I? And all of this conditioning that was like thrown into me, and all the family conditioning and the societal conditioning and everything was just like falling away, like bit by bit by bit all the time. And I started to get to the root of like why I was like feeling like this. And my best friend had like
Mhm.
studied neurology and he'd studied all these things. So he was like kind of using me as a test guinea pig for all of these methods that he was trying himself. So I was sitting there like, okay, just like let me like just like experiment on me to see what the hell is going on. And over the next like 3 months, we like traveled Spain, then we traveled Portugal, then we moved to Colombia and we started like a video series of like, let's allow people to like fully express themselves and everything. And all my patterns were like falling away. And after that, I went back to Ireland and I seen the contrast between what this life of freedom was versus this life of being trapped and all these like have tos and shoulds that I have to like abide by. And
Mhm.
I started to see that all the methods that were being used on me, and we met different mentors and everything around the world, I wanted to start to use them myself. So I started getting like different like test guinea pigs, like, okay, I'm going to try out some of these things and like see what the hell's going on. And I started to find like a real calling within myself that like, I'm going to like just do this. I'm going to just like see what the hell happens. I'm not going to do it like for money or anything. I'm just going to do it for my own interest. And I was like hooked and I could feel everybody like on a really intuitive level. And then after that, I started to just go, okay, I want more of this. And I went deep into it. I went to different retreats in America and all around the world, different ones in Europe, like really deep, like Osho meditation retreats. And then I went to human connection retreats. And then I went to like deep catharsis retreats, all these different things, really to like find out more about myself. And then I seen that every time I was finding out more about myself, I was discovering more about everybody else because I started to see, I'm not the only one who's actually struggling with this stuff. It's all these people as well. So I was able to go deeper with people then when I went into the depths of myself. And then when I found
Mhm.
ancestral healing, I met like a family constellation therapist and he taught me ancestral healing. And after the first session, I was able to like feel his ancestors immediately. And I was like, I don't know why, but I feel like I've just got a natural thing for this. So I started working with him and he started
Mhm.
working with me. And we went for 6 months, like deep into understanding our ancestry and everything. And then I started to see, okay, I actually want to do this full time. This is like my full time thing I want. Because I had kind of a contrast between I was making money doing this thing, but I was passionate fully about this. But it was only when I let
Mhm.
go of what was keeping me safe, what I thought was keeping me safe, the job and the security and the 9 to 5 and having a purpose of like getting up every day. It's only when I let go of that that I started to see everything fueled into the actual passion that I wanted to do. And that became my purpose. And then like after that, I made a decision that like I'm not going to do this life. I'm not going to like just play it safe. I'm going to take a chance and step into the unknown. And then I started to work with people who wanted the same thing because I started to embody it and everything. People were like, "Oh, I'm in a 9 to 5 job as well, and I want to like break out and I want to do this." And it started to develop then into relationships, and it started to develop into like different retreats that I started to host. And it really brought me everything. Like it brought me like the love of my life. It brought me a new child that I have in my life right now. It brought me another child. Brought me like all this fulfillment and helping all these people, and brought me like a community of people that were doing the same thing. So it's only really when I let go of what I thought was keeping me safe that I found everything that was actually reaffirming how safe I was inside. So that really allowed me just to go deeper in and in. And I'm kind of still on the same process of like finding deeper parts within myself. And then the depth that I go, I'm able to work with people in a deeper way. So I'm getting into more past life healing stuff and all that's like coming up. And I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. And the other person's going through it. And I'm like, oh, this is like really interesting. And I get excited when they have like all these different patterns that come up because I'm like, wow, this is like if you're going through this is something I can learn about myself as well. So whenever I'm doing one-on-one or I'm doing healing circles, it's just like this cocoon of learning for me where I'm like, oh, this is super interesting. And then it started to go outside of just work helping people. I started to see it in like my children's lives, how they were reflecting my inner child back to me. I started to see how when I would have a conversation with my parents, how they were reflecting my ancestors back to me. And I started to see how everything was just connected over and over again. And that's basically brought me to the place where I can like now say that I like do this healing work like full time. But really I'm a student of it as well.
Wow, that's a mind-blowing story. I have so many questions just based on what you said because I'm super curious about a lot of stuff. But first of all, I want to honor you for really having courage to let go of all your whole life, pretty much everything you've built and everything your ego thought that is important in life. you were able to let this go. And I feel like letting go is, and surrendering to whatever the universe brings you, is one of the most important things you can do in your life. And so my first question would be, how did you manage to switch in your mind, like to be able to let this all go? Because many people want to do this, right? Many people want to just quit their job 9 to 5 and whatever, but they maybe lack courage, or maybe they lack encouragement, or maybe they lack belief or trust in the universe that everything is just going to unfold for them. So what would you say to these people who maybe are not as confident or not as trustful that everything is going to be fine if they just let it all go?
I think that people have a choice within themselves, that they have an intention of wanting to change their lives, you know. So there's like courage that's needed for that. But it's like using 5% of your conscious to do that. And that can be very tough, like to do that all on your own. So the thing is that what like I like to work with people on is the 95%, which is unconscious. So if people say to me, oh, I want to leave my relationship, or I want to leave my job, or I want to do this for a living, yes, they like want that. Their soul wants that, you know, but what is the 95% that's holding them back? So if somebody says, I want to lose weight, and I go, okay, well, the obvious thing is like go to a gym, but they can't do it. Why is that? Is because maybe there's like self-worth issues. Maybe they don't feel good enough. Maybe they don't feel like they'll be safe in a gym environment. They don't want to be seen by others. It's all these different unconscious patterns that stop them from going to the gym. And the thing is that once you actually remove the unconscious patterns, once you understand, like, where was this built from? How can I release this? And you release it and you let go of it, then you can start to ask the question again, okay, what do you want? I want to lose weight. And how do you lose weight? They'll go, I go to the gym. And they do it all by themselves. Okay. So they actually have the courage for themselves to actually do it. So of course there's like releasing the unconscious patterns, but then to instill the new patterns is to actually take the courageous step to go there. Okay. So the thing that I say to a lot of people sometimes is like kind of like Morpheus and Neo, is like, I show you the door, but you're the one who has to walk through it. You know, you're the one who is going to take the courageous step to go there and move there. So the people that usually come to me, usually they have like, it boils down to one thing that they want, like to change, like they want to change this one thing. And then once they do that, everything will unravel and change and let go. So the thing is that they come to me with that same want and desire. And then when all the unconscious patterns are released, then they can either take the step or not take the step. And they have to, like, they're the ones who ultimately have to do that. That's why I always say that people are responsible for their own healing. I just show them, like, and guide them, like, through their ancestry and through their past lives and all this stuff. Is like, let's go here, let's go all around here, and understand, like, how ridiculous that belief was and what do you actually believe. So it's kind of like a contrast between those. And I think for a lot of people, the courageous step is letting go of it and then doing it anyway, like feeling the fear and doing it anyway. But like also realizing that you're going to have to let go of the unconscious patterns anyway, because it's going to show up over and over again, and they can't be avoided and you can't run away from them. They're always going to be there. So the thing is that it's actually about going inside to listen deeply, and then understanding, oh, why do I want this? Why do I want this? Why do I desire this? What's my resistance to it? And then taking the step. So I think that's really important for people to understand.
Yeah, I totally resonate with what you just said, because it's not about taking like massive action, working hard to achieve your goal. It's actually about removing resistance, and then everything flows from there, right? Because you don't have this fear, you don't have this powerlessness, you don't have these, whatever emotion is there that is blocking you from taking this action step is just not there anymore. So then it's easier. Then it's like, oh, I can actually do that. It's not a problem anymore. So yeah, I vibe with it 100% with what you just said. And so you also mentioned that you were going to all these different retreats, and I don't want to like promote anything here because it's not our point, but I'm really curious about what was your favorite type of retreat. You don't have to say exactly what it was, but maybe what was your favorite activity or type of retreat that you felt that really brought you some deep understanding about yourself. And you can say the name of the retreat as well. I mean, why not? We can promote each other too, but that's just not my point. My point is like, what was the deepest journey you went through, so that people maybe can also relate to that, or they can get inspired to go for some retreats as well.
Well, for me, like initially, one of the biggest ones I went to was International Tribe Design, which was in the States. I went to two of them, and one in Portland and one in Hawaii. But it was really the one that I went to in Hawaii that really awakened me, because I'm like really passionate about making videos as well. And I thought, I'm going to be the best video editor in the world. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go to Hollywood and I'm going to do all these things. That's what I like thought was like what I was going to do. But on the side, I was doing all this healing work. And at that retreat, there was like a moment where somebody, like, where I was working with people and helping them like heal their stuff, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this, but really I'm just like making the video of the retreat. And then one of the organizers of the retreat said to me, okay, how about like you step in front of the camera? How about you stop like going like hiding behind the camera and you really step out and like show yourself for who you really are? That really made a profound impact on me, because I was like, actually, I'm hiding I'm hiding who I truly am. I'm hiding like my true self-worth. And it's only when I stepped in front of the camera then that I really seen, whoa, I love like making people laugh. I love making these like funny videos, and all these like ideas started to come to me where everybody else wasn't the like the focus of attention. It was actually me, and the like ideas and knowledge and divine inspiration that was flowing out of me. So that was really like a massive impact for me. And that actually allowed me to catalyze and create my own retreats then, where I started to see, wait, if they can do this, and like I'm creating this environment where people are getting healed, then I can probably create my own retreats. And then I started to create my own connection retreats in Ireland. I've done like 3 of them in 6 months. And now I'm just now starting back up retreats. I'm starting the next one in April. So I'm like really excited to like bring people together in person again, because I miss like when I get to retreat, I'm like, oh my God, I like live here. Let's do it together. Let's like understand what's going on within one another. Because I think in a group setting, it really allows people to feel safe, because they start to see that, wow, everybody actually is going through stuff. It's not just me. And I think that's really important for people to understand, because sometimes when you're in the spotlight and you understand, like you're trying to see, oh, this is all about me, and I feel a bit naked and like observed. I think that when you have other people to show like what's actually going on, and to show that they're going through stuff as well, it's such a powerful space. And I always say, like in the retreats, like I'm not hosting the retreat per se. I'm like participating as well. So every exercise that's happening, I always go first. Is like, okay, tell me about like the biggest troubles that are going on in your life. I'll go, okay, I will go first. And I stand in the middle of the circle and I say everything, because I feel like it creates a space for people to feel safe, that it's okay to feel like this. And even when I'm working with people one on one and they're saying, oh, but I'm struggling with confidence and all this stuff, I'll just go, yeah, I had that as well. I probably had that much worse than you did, like much like in a
Mm-hmm.
deeper way. And I start to like create the space where they can feel safe, because it actually is true for me. I had anxiety and anger and self-worth and like sexuality stuff and third eye like closed, and I had all of that stuff. So like when people come to me with their pains, it doesn't really surprise me. It's just like about, can I hold space for like what's going on? So can I create the space for them to feel safe in that? So I think that's really important. I think that sometimes you can have people are put on a pedestal, like, oh, he knows like so much because like he's perfect, can go through any things. It's like, I go through just as many things as everybody else. The thing is that I don't have shame about asking for help, and like I don't have shame in like expressing how I feel, because I've released those parts of me. But that's only an unconscious belief away. That's only a perspective shift away from really switching within. So I think that that's a really important catalyst for people to understand, like, that you're not alone in this, and there's like millions of people all around the world going through the same thing that you are. And like there's nothing special about like your ego and what it's trying to hold on to, because there's so many people who are trying to do the same things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can really relate to that, because in the past I was, like maybe 6 years ago or so, I was looking at all these spiritual gurus like, oh my God, these people know, these people have the answers, these people are, so cool, and I'm not, because here I am with so much to heal more. But the reality is that everyone has something to heal always. There is no person who has nothing to heal, I believe, at least anyway. No matter how high you are in consciousness, you're still a human. And if you are a human, then it means that there are some things affecting you as a human mind. And we are designed in the way that we have trauma. And although we might be a little bit further in our healing journey than some other people, or earlier in the journey as well, it's still like we are all in the same journey, just coming back to the source, coming back to our authentic self, to who we truly are. And it's a never ending journey, really. So I can really relate to what you're saying. And also, like, we can also help people that are going through similar stuff that we've gone through, right? So we as healers, we can help the most the people that are struggling with the things that we already worked through. There is no other way, really. I mean, sometimes I think it can happen that we can help with something that we haven't gone through, but we need to understand the principles of human mind and how emotions work, for sure. But we are really helpful for people who are going through the same stuff. And I also have clients who come to me and they say, oh, I need to work through this. I'm like, yep, I'm exactly working through the exactly same stuff. And I believe that the universe brings us together to resonate with each other, to actually, for us to be able to help them. They bring the people that are struggling with the same things, because then we are really understanding when it comes to what they are going through. And we really can be like, okay, I've been there. And if you take this and this and this step, then your life is going to get better. So thank you for mentioning that, because I think it's so important for people to know that we are all human, and we don't need to like present ourselves, all the healers out there, coaches out there, we don't need to present ourselves as the smarter one or the one with more wisdom and experience, because everyone is just where they are at, and really everyone's on the journey anyway. So yeah, we are still learning, we are still seeking, we are still developing as everyone else. So thank you for mentioning it, because I think it's important for people to hear. And also, you said that you jumped really into the ancestral trauma healing. So I'm super curious about that. Like, what does it look like? How do you even, like, what do you do on the session, for example? How does the session work? How do you even get to the ancestors? And yeah, just what does the session encompass?
So usually what happens for people is that, like, and I do this in a really like it's not a very like serious, okay, let's do like ancestral healing now. It's like it just comes up naturally, and I like to be very light in like the way that I do it. So immediately when the people tell me what's going on, like on the calls, I can immediately start to feel their ancestors in my body. Like it go like, ah yeah, your father had that, didn't he, as well? Like your father like maybe understood that, and like and then I go, well, my father had that as well, you know, and I can already feel their father in my body, just like screaming or going like, no, I don't want to open up, and like I can just feel like sometimes it's really funny the responses that I hear from their ancestors. So I like relay that back to them, and sometimes they can have resistance in different areas and everything like that, but it comes through for them because they start to feel it in their body. So the thing is that I love to give people the awareness logically of like what's happening, to give them the like the story that created the resistance, but also like the feeling
Mm-hmm.
behind that. And I feel like when the two are matched, that's when your body is able to truly understand and let go of it. Because I think that sometimes you can spend time on a call and just like talk and talk and talk and talk, but nothing's actually felt and moved. Or you can actually just go
Mm-hmm.
into feeling, and nothing's moved because it comes back because the same story is not released. And I think that when the ancestral healing that's happening, they can understand where the story was created. Like, okay, your father had like basically you don't feel like you're confident enough to do what you love. Okay, your father had that as well, and he had to surrender to the tradition of working in agriculture and working a farming life and like living in this way. Okay, but where did he get that? Okay, from his father, because his father inherited that as well, like from agriculture and everything. And why did he get into agriculture? Because back then there was famine and people were struggling with like food, and there wasn't a lot there, and there was a lot of scarcity and everything like that. So that's the story that's driving why you don't think you have the confidence to do what you love. It's actually because there was a famine back then and people had to do agriculture to survive. Okay, and that not only improves the person confidence and helps them understand like, oh, okay, that's why I don't have the confidence, and like they can feel that and fully release it and cry and like anger and all that stuff, let it all out. But also that helps them with scarcity. Like it could be that they have money blocks, that helps them with scarcity. That helps them with, why do I feel like I have to eat my food really fast? Why do I feel like I can't speak to a girl? Why do I feel like I can't speak to a boy? Why do I feel like I can't do this? It's like multi-layered, all on the same story that was driven by this grandfather who felt that he had to work that because he felt he had to survive. And I think that there's so many things that root out of that like same tree. Like I always see it as like roots in a tree. So your ancestors are the roots, and then the trunk is like your parents, and then there's all these different beliefs and patterns that are built in the branches. And you have to understand the leaf to understand the branch, to understand the trunk, to understand the roots. And it's like a step-by-step process that I bring people through to get to the root and then clear it. And there's like a huge, feels like a huge weight off their shoulders when that happens. It feels like a huge weight off my shoulders whenever I feel it as well. There's like a huge pattern that goes, whoa. And then there's lightness. Okay. That creates so much space, because I think that the only reason why we don't get what we want is because a lot of the times we don't feel we can truly deserve it. Because the thing is that people say, I want to be a millionaire, everything. But if somebody put like a $1 million check in front of your face, you'd be like, oh, Jesus, I don't know if I deserve that. So it's about creating the space for you to receive everything that you actually deserve. And whether that's like money, or whether that's the love of your life, or whether that's a family, or whether that's something that you love to do, or a hobby, or something that like that you truly want. It's just about releasing the unconscious patterns so you can create full space for that to like truly come into your body.
So I'm really curious to
Okay.
know, how do you know where it comes from? So do you always feel intuitively like, okay, this is from your dad, this is from your grandfather, and how far in the ancestral line do you go in terms of like, because your father probably has patterns from grandfather and great grandfather and so on. So do you need to go to this original ancestor and resolve it there, or is it like enough to, let's say that you resolve it with your father because your father is the one that carries this belief towards you? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how far do you need to go to
Yes,
heal this
yes.
trauma, and do you have to go really far when it all started, or is it okay if you just resolve it like within you or with your father, and so on?
I think that like usually it doesn't go that much further than 3 generations back. So grandfather, great grandfather, usually it stops there. So the thing is that deep down within, then when you find the original ancestor, usually he inherits that pattern from something that happened in society, whether it's a war, whether it's famine, whether it's like a love lost or grief or something like this. Usually that's the original pattern that creates and comes into the ancestral line then and allows it to come out. So the thing is that I feel like the original trauma that creates the pattern within the ancestor, and then it's just passed down in different ways, like through the generations. So the thing is that if people had a scarcity of food, like the example I was giving you, back when the grandfather was going through scarcity of food, then that could materialize in your father having a scarcity with money. And then
Mm-hmm.
that materializes in your life where you feel, I'm not good enough to make money, and I can't like receive money. It's the same type of scarcity. But understanding that that's where it originally comes from, then it truly allows the person's like nervous system to rewire, because I work with the nervous system a lot. Like all of this is stored in different organs in the body. So when I'm talking to the person, it's already shooting up in different parts, like a Christmas tree, like shooting up here in the lung, and then shooting down here in the sacral, and then here in the solar plexus, like all these different areas. And the body can't lie. So the body language just shows everything. So when I see their body language, my body starts to inherit everything that's going on within them, and then
Mm-hmm.
it just like lets go. And this used to be like a big problem for me. I used to be able to like feel everybody intuitively, because I had a really hard time in like separating my energy, separating like, oh, okay, you feel like this and I feel like this. I don't
Mm-hmm.
actually know. I didn't actually know how I felt. So I think that the thing that really helped me with that was grounding, the ability to like go, okay, this is my body and I'm just surrendering myself through this session. And then after the session, I close the container and allow myself to come back into my body. So the thing is that it's always on in like a certain way that I'm able to understand what's happening. But then again, I don't lose sight of like my own groundedness and my own sense of self. So like I can like if we went into a session, like I could just like mirror your body immediately now and just understand what the hell is going on and everything that's happening, and all your ancestors would go, hey, hi, hey, hey, and that would happen. But the thing is that I don't open up that container, so it doesn't actually get activated within me. So that's like a really like safe and sacred thing that I love to do with people. And a lot of people are skeptical as well in that, like, oh, but like you're online and I'm on the other side of the world, and you're here. But the thing is that when I found that the ability to really mirror how the person was feeling, that made the scope of my work go like, whoa, I can like touch everybody in the world now. Like I can access like everybody that's going on, because there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, but I just do this in person as well, and that's fine. People can do it in person. I can physically test their body, like muscle test, and understand their ancestry in that way. But it's just as like sacred and just as powerful to do it online as it is in person. I'm just speaking for myself, by the way. This might be different for other people, but that's what I have found within myself. And the last thing I'm going to say is that I feel it's very important as well to like integrate with healing. I think that there's a misconception that like, oh, you do one healing session with me and there you go, it's grand, it's fine, everything's great. Oh my God, we need more help. But I think that's an illusion in that, like, I think that it's very important to have like integration time when you're like healing, like to give yourself the time and the space to allow it to be felt fully. And that's why I always do like a week gap between my sessions so that the person has like time to integrate, really practice the new patterns that are happening to allow to blast out the old unconditional like unconscious patterns so that then they're ready for the next level then the next week after that. Because sometimes your ancestors can like mask one another. So the stuff that you think is coming up with your father, once you release that, then all your mother stuff goes, here you go. You're like, Jesus, that's a lot of stuff. So it's like very important to have like weeks of integration to allow yourself to fully feel and allow the upgrade to happen. And then you arrive at your original intention that you started the whole process with anyway, that like, I want to lose weight, or I want to quit my job, and I want a relationship. That all just starts to manifest then because there's no longer a resistance to it.
So when it comes to this ancestral healing, what I understand is that we are carrying the energy, right, of our mothers, fathers, grandfathers, great grandfathers, and so on. And so, for example, I work with inner child, and I work with the trauma in a way where through the feeling now, you go back to the childhood, to the very first time that you felt this way. And what I understand from my work, and I'm really curious about your perspective on that, is that if you carry the energy from your ancestors, right, this energy is inside of you. So if you have, for example, some powerlessness or some limiting money beliefs or whatever, this needs to manifest in your life as this life, in terms of like, as a child, it needs to somehow, this energy needs to manifest because you already have it inside of you. So you're attracting these situations in your life that are, let's say, re-traumatizing you, or are bringing these emotions up that were stored within you from the past, right? From the ancestors or from past lives. So what I believe is that if you work on this original trauma in childhood, you also will resolve what is there from the ancestors or from the past lives, because this is a reflection of what you've gone through before as a soul, or what your ancestors have gone through. So would you agree with that it is, let's say, it is enough to go to your childhood and release it all there? If you let go of this whole energy that is inside of your body, and if you really like let it out and express it, would that be enough? Or is it always necessary to know that, okay, this is from my father, this is from my great grandmother or whatever? Or is it not necessary in order to fully heal, you think?
Well, I'll tell you how it worked for me. Okay, so the thing is that I was into like I've done inner child healing, and I just worked on the individual person without relating to the ancestry and everything like that. Okay, and from that point, I actually started to want to heal everybody around me, like including family members. And so when I started to work on family members, that's when I really seen, okay, there's something deeper going on here, because I seen that when I worked with like my mother, or I tried to help my father and all this stuff, it just didn't work. And I felt like they were getting better, but I was getting much worse. So I feel that I could only actually understand my inner child in a deeper way when I understood myself in relation to my parents. Okay. So the thing is that the goal is to truly understand, like, I feel like it's to understand where the pattern was created, because I think that with inner child work, it brings you to the place where, okay, I understand what happened in my life as a child, but there's so much more that happens. And I feel like different traumas pop up, like due to epigenetics and everything, is that like when our environment is changed, so like trauma only happens like it's triggered when we're in the right environment for it to happen, and the situation and everything like this. So if you ever go back to your parents' house, you know what I'm talking about. You get triggered immediately, like 100 things start happening, because A, you're in their environment. Two, you're in their like pattern of behavior where you're like you're back into being a child, and they're the adult. So you lose like all your power, everything like this. So I think that to minimize that is to understand your parents on a deeper way. So it's to understand, like, okay, what happened to you? What happened to your parents? Why did you create this pattern? And I feel that that stops you from going back into the belief. Because if when you do inner child healing, it's like when I do it, like even my son, I understand what happened to me as a child and all these traumas and everything like that. But there's something that built those traumas. And when I understand in a deeper way, like what happened, like why did my parent pass down that belief, or why did I experience this trauma? I think that gives a different perspective to what's going on. So I think that inner child healing is like one branch, okay, and then it goes like ancestral and all this stuff, and then there's like courageous steps you have to take, all this stuff. So I think that it's like one aspect of what's going on. And like for me, truly, when I found ancestral healing, and like at the time I was trying to help like somebody really close to me, like to heal all their stuff. And the guy said to me immediately, "Oh, you can't actually heal her. Like you can't heal your mother." And I was like, "Whoa, really?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's not your job to actually heal her. It's not your path. So like by you trying to heal her, you're actually just trying to heal yourself. But you can do that without your mother." So the thing is that when I found that, I was like crying when he told me this. I was like, "Oh my God, this is the whole reason why I got into this freaking healing in the first place. Like was to help her from all the anxiety and depression, everything like this." But I think like deeper down within myself, I was like, okay, but I'm actually trying to help myself. I'm actually trying to help what the ancestral patterns that are going on with me is, what's going on in my perception. Because I think that there's a disconnect between who we think our parents are and who they actually are. So we're really not healing our parents. We're healing our perception of our parents because they live within us. And when we heal our perception of our parents, then our perception of ourselves completely change. And that allows us to see our parents even more for who they are. So we can see them with even more love and compassion, and see our ancestors with even more love and compassion. And that gives us more love and compassion for ourselves. That gives us more like deep knowing within ourselves that it doesn't just start with me, and there's a holistic view of who I am that's beyond my inner child, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I resonate with what you said as well, because on my self-development journey, I was really digging into Enneagram. I'm not sure if you've heard of this typology of personality, but I was really like diving so deep into it. And when I understood that, oh my God, my mom is a giver and my dad is a warrior, and I could see them as these personalities, and it's literally like so many traits could be understood just logically through our mind, right? This could bring us so much more compassion when we're like, okay, my mom is a very feeling and empathetic person, so she needs more love, she needs more hugs, and she needs to be said, spoken to in this specific way. And my dad is a completely different person, the opposite, and he needs this and this and this. And then we can understand logically, and also where all these patterns come from, like what kind of life situations they have been going through. This can really bring you more compassion and understanding towards them, which ultimately results in more compassion and understanding towards ourselves, because we always internalize our parents within. So if we can externally bring more compassion and love, we internally also do it, right? Because it's a reflection, it's a mirror of how we react to these internal parents within us. So I totally get what you say, that if you understand it more, it can bring you more compassion, and it could go even deeper on your healing journey. Although for me, I feel like inner child healing is already a very, very powerful tool, especially if you combine it with like emotional release, and also like changing the meaning of the situation. Because oftentimes in my work, at least the completion process, what I do is then you come as an adult, and then you reparent your inner child, you meet the needs, and then you even take the child out of the memory into the safe space, and just you rewire the whole situation, how it was coded in your subconscious mind. So you bring this in a way logical part, where your adult self that is more logical than your emotional inner child can combine. And then when they come together, when they reconnect together, then you have both emotional and logical side of you harmonized, let's say. And then it creates a deeper feeling. So I understand what you're saying about, if you understand it even with your mind, like what happened, it could help you move through the trauma easier, or maybe it could create a story that would be easier for you to just let it all go, because like, okay, this is why. So that's it. Now I can move through it, because it's not even mine. I can leave it behind me. And so you say that we are actually healing ourselves and our story about our parents, right? So it's not like, for example, if I heal the ancestral trauma that my mom passed to me, that it also affects her energy and how she would respond to the world, or is it interconnected in a way?
It changes how she relates to you, and I feel like that's the real, like that's the real letting go process, is that you're not changing
Mm-hmm.
her, but you're changing your relationship to her. So the thing is that
Mm-hmm.
like my relationship with my parents has gotten like hundreds and hundreds of times better, after I've done the work on myself, because I'm not seeing my
Yes.
parents in the way that I used to see them. I'm seeing them differently. And then they can feel that, because the relationship is not about me and it's not about them. It's about the space in between. So the thing is, the space in between has already changed because I'm seeing it differently. And they're seeing it differently because I'm seeing it differently. And the thing is that we can't like heal our parents. We can only be an example to be the best that we can be. And how do we be the best that we can be?
Hmm.
Is to let go of the unconscious patterns and really like fully like be ourselves, really fully like embody who we truly are as a soul, as a like divine being, as a multidimensional being, all these stuff. So the thing is that we're not
Hmm.
changing. I don't feel we're changing like our parents at all, or we're changing our ancestry. We're just changing ourselves, and that's automatically changing the world around us.
Yeah, and I can relate to that because once I've gone through a lot of traumas where I thought about my dad or my mom in a specific way, and I interpreted their behavior in a specific way, and then I reprogrammed it. Now the relationship gets better, but it only starts with me. I don't have to change them because they feel the energy, right? As consciously or unconsciously, they will feel it. People will feel it, and it's not only about your parents; it's about your friends. It's about your whole family. If you change the approach towards someone, this person is going to change approach to you because it's always a mirror to who you are and how you respond. So yeah, that's really on point. And so how did the ancestral healing help you, for example, with your kids and with your life? Like how do you what kind of benefits do you see of this healing for you as a parent right now?
For me, I see like that I'm just a different father to who my father was to me. I'm just like more slowed down, more conscious, just conscious of what I'm doing. I think that like the thing is that our parents always do the best they can do, and our grandparents always did the best they can do. But they had a completely different awareness level than we did, and the thing is that every generation the consciousness just upgrades. So my kids already now have more consciousness than I even do. They're going to teach me things that I don't even know. So the thing is that when I'm a parent, I don't approach it from the perspective that I'm the teacher and they're the student, but more like I'm the student and they're the teacher. So when I look at it from that perspective, then I can really see that like, all these patterns that were actually all passed down to me were not served, are not actually working, are not serving me. So I'm seeing like that the unconscious patterns that are playing out with me with my children just don't work. So like anger and like blame and projection and judgment and all these things, they don't actually work. They don't create more love. And the child will reflect that back to you like immediately. They'll immediately like show you. That's why like my children are my guru. They show me everything that I need to know. Like because they will trigger me like unbelievably like throughout the day, like many times. So the thing is that I just need to slow down to listen to that. So like when people are asking, oh, are you working with anybody these days and are you letting go of it? Yeah, I just go, yeah, I've got kids, man. Now that's like that's my healing. That's actually that's what's showing me my highest spiritual growth. That's what's leading me like to more. And the thing is that like I have a newborn, like I think he's like 1 month old right now, and like I called that in. Like my soul wanted that because it was like, okay, time for more growth, Fergus. And like another child is just showing me that, like more and more again. Even though the child can't talk, can't do anything, like I need to do everything for that child. But yeah, it's just like brings up so many things. And it's just about slowing down to really understand that. And then that in turn like helps me with all my work and everything like this because I see, that's actually the truth there. So when I'm talking to somebody like, oh, I have all these patterns and everything, I go, okay, so it didn't start with you. Like you didn't create this. It's not genetic that was like passed down to you. It's only like behavior. And I can see like a clear contrast between like, here's the truth, children, and here is the lies that are actually happening within you. And then it's just about marrying, okay, this is like to help them to realize the truth within themselves. And it might not be like that truth is individual to them. I'm not like telling them what the truth is. They're just like coming up with it. And like there's many times on like the calls, like coming towards the end of the call, where I'm actually just like sitting back and they're just like riffing, like all about their passions, all about, I want to do this and that, yeah, like this and everything like this. And then they go, but I don't know how to do it. And I just go like, just do that. Whatever you were doing right there, that's it. That's the spark. And I feel that spark is within everybody. And it's just to reveal rather than like add on. Like we can't, like it's not to be found in like a self-development book. It's not to be found like in like in something, it's to be felt and revealed within yourself. And I think that that's the most important thing.
Whoa, yeah, that was so beautiful what you just said. And it's so interesting because when you are working through the stuff, if you work through the patterns that you carried, for example, from the ancestors, you're not gonna pass it further, right? So the point is also, if to anyone who listens, if you ever want to have kids, you better work through your shit before you have them, because you don't want to pass, you don't want to pass more and more trauma to your kids. And if you work on your inner child and your ancestral trauma, you're not gonna, pass more and more patterns, and you're going to realize you're going to be more conscious of yourself. And I feel like it also comes with practice, right? The more you heal, the more you're aware, and the more you can see and really discern where you are going with the automatic program from your subconscious mind, and where you can actually bring awareness in here and now and choose in the present moment how you want to respond to your kid or to the world in general, rather than just going with, as you said, 95% of your subconscious mind that is just automatic code in our computer that was encoded there in our childhood, right? So yeah, this is really really beautiful. And so what were maybe if you could talk about like 1 or 2 or 3 cases with how the ancestral healing has helped people, or what kind of issues it can help with, or is it just broad? But I would like you to talk about your favorite stories, let's say, or favorite client stories, favorite success stories, let's say.
So success stories, wow, there's so many. Okay, let's just like which one? So this around this, I'll just take examples right this time, is that like around this time there seems to be a lot of people getting sick, like COVID and all this type of stuff. And people have come to me when they've had like COVID and stuff like that, and within 3 weeks, like they don't have it. So within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they're not like open. They understand like why they got COVID. They understand why they got sick. All these different things. So the thing is that the only reason why we attract illness and all these different things is actually because of our immune system. Our immune system is directly related to our emotional processing. So if we're not emotionally processing, we're more prone to picking up illness like flu and COVID and all this stuff that's going on. Okay, but the thing is that once I was able to understand that, okay, so one person that I worked with had a case of having COVID, and the reason why it persisted is actually because they had a lot of shame around having it. So the thing to release was actually the unconscious belief that they had around feeling around having the COVID. So like I started to say, okay, if you're actually accepting and honest with it, then it will just move. And what's the reason why you weren't accepting and honest of it is because their mother like would not tell the truth about anything, would like hold everything in and be taking like pills on the side and everything like this. So actually there was so much shame around illness. So for him, it was actually to let go of the shame of that. And when I found the original ancestral pattern, he no longer had shame about it. And I seen him on the week before and he was coughing through the call and everything like this. The week after, it wasn't there at all. And he was like, wow, my immunity feels like stronger than ever. It's because I think that people underestimate the amount of impact our emotional processing has on our immunity. Our immunity is like so important. And if we're emotionally right, there's no reason for you to like pick up anything, because like you're already immune to it. Or even if it comes in, you can accept it really quickly and it moves very fast. So that's like a really important, that's a really important one that I went through. There was another guy who went through. Usually people come to me when they've tried everything else. They've gone to like hypnotherapists, they've gone to like psychiatrists and everything like this, and they've tried Joe Dispenza stuff, and they've tried manifestation, and they've tried all this stuff, and none of it works. And usually they come to me and they go like, but I'm trying all this stuff and none of it works. And it's actually because they just need something deeper. They need to be held in a deeper container where they're going into the ancestral pattern to really understand it and reprogram it. And then after that, everything that they did, the Joe Dispenza stuff, the hypnotherapy, the learning how to coach, the Tony Robbins stuff, like the NLP, all that stuff starts to magically work because they start to let go of the deep pattern that was resisting the whole thing. So I think that a lot of it is not actually like adding all these things. I need to try this. I'm going to get in a dietitian to change everything and all this. But if you release the unconscious pattern before that, it's much easier to like implement all those new types of things because you're naturally being drawn to it rather than forcing. The thing is that when the unconscious pattern is gone, you're not doing yoga because you're forcing it. You're not doing meditation because you're forcing it. You're naturally being inspired to do it. And that comes from letting go of the resistance of, oh, I have to do meditation to get rid of this. I have to do yoga to get rid of this. And I have to do like therapy to get rid of this. But what do you want to do? Are you naturally inspired to do that? Because if you're not, then don't do it. It's like, do what you're naturally being drawn to. And I think that that's a common misconception, that people think they need to add more things in order to let go of their things. But it's actually to come more into stillness, come more into balance, and listen to what's happening. Listen to yourself. Listen to what's going on in here, rather than all the things on Instagram are telling you, you should do breath work, you should do yoga, you should do this. No, it's not about that. It's about listening to deeper into like, what do I actually want? What do I truly resonate with?
Yeah, I agree with that. And also to look at the resistance of, okay, if I don't want to do yoga or I don't want to do breath work, then what is the resistance that is causing me to not want to do it? Because, you know, I always say, and I repeat it many times, I was a yoga hater around a year ago. And now I freaking love it. I promote it to everyone. I do it at least 2 to 3 times a week because I know how big of a benefit it brings me. And I had resistance based on something that I could shift. Right. And it's not that I wasn't called to it. I was called to it. But if I looked at the resistance and I actually worked through it, now I'm a big, fan of yoga. So I think, of course, do what's aligned with you, but also look at if something is not aligned with you, what is it actually that is bringing you resistance? Is it because you put a lot of pressure on yourself that you have to heal and you have to fix yourself, right? Because that's the issue as well for people, like, oh my God, I need to fix this. I need to heal this. If I don't heal this, I'm not enough. That's the unconscious belief that I used to have as well. So I think it's important to talk about it as well, because there is nothing to fix about anyone, okay? There is just the improvement, like you are already enough and you can only improve your life and get better and better at things and improve your well-being and everything. But, oh, sorry about it. It's probably my parasite cleanse. So you can only like improve yourself. Oops. And there is nothing to fix about yourself. And you can only like go into the direction of healing more and getting better at whatever else you want to change in your life. But remember that you are enough as you are. Because, I remember when I was starting my spiritual journey, I didn't feel enough at all. I was just like, oh my God, there is so much trauma. I didn't even feel like going through that, because I was like, what's the point if I'm going to be healing for my whole life, So what's the point of even starting if I'm just not gonna even ever heal? You know what I mean? So what would you say to these kind of people who are at that point of like, what's even the point of healing if I will never heal fully?
I think that the goal is not to heal fully. It's just truly to like understand yourself more. I think that everybody has an innate desire to understand themselves more. So I think that to understand more of what you want, more of what you love, you've got to understand the polarity of it, to understand like what is the pain and what is the resistance that's holding you back from that. So I think that deep down there's like a true desire within everybody. There's a true purpose, and there's like naturally like coded things that like you want to do and like that are inherently like excitable for you, and that people have experienced that many times in their life. So the only question is that like, do you want to experience more of the exciting things, or do you want to stay in the comfort and safety of what's actually happening? And the thing is that to get to the more excitable, to a more fulfilled, to a more joyful, to a more free life, everything like that requires us to listen to ourselves and go in deeper and understand what's going on, and not to be afraid of it. I think that that's why I always put out like comedy, like humor videos as well, is that like healing is not this big like scary thing that's going to like get you, it's actually like a beautiful revealing process of like revealing who you actually are, and it's light and free and everything, because the thing is that you can go through like the pain and the resistance in that moment, like for about 30 minutes on a call or something like that, or like letting go of it through breath work or whatever. You can go through a lifetime of being in the same miserable pattern that like is keeping you stuck. So I think that that's the choice that people have within themselves, and it's up to them to make the choice. Like I can never tell anybody, oh, you need healing and you need to fix this and you need that. It's like, no, that's like nothing for me to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the other person's choice to like truly go into. So the thing is that I just create the space. I go, hey, I'm here. I have like healing circles, I have retreats, I have like one-on-one. So if you ever need anything, I'm here. But it's like it's ultimately up to you. Just in the same way that it's up to you to like take the courageous step towards what you want, it's up to you to like receive the healing that you're looking for, or like ask for help, or like your soul is ultimately going to push you, whether it's going to be now, or whether it's going to be after a car crash, or whether it's going to be after a disaster, or whether it's going to be after you break your leg. It'll take something for you to listen. But the thing is that the signals only get louder until you truly listen. And then when you listen, that's when the process starts for you. And I think that process starts for everybody.
Mm. Yeah, that's actually resonating with me a lot. Thank you for sharing that. It was really beautiful. And so for all the people who listen to us right now, how they can find you? What's the easiest way to contact you if they want to sign up for some ancestral healing?
So the best way is through Instagram. All my stuff is there, Fergus Murtagh. It's all connected. I have like all my links there. I have like a healing circle that happens every Sunday. It's pay what you want. So if you're like curious about my work and you like you don't want to fully go into like one-on-one, you can always join that. I've like beautiful like group healing like every Sunday, which is so amazing. And then I've got my one-on-one work, and then I've got a retreat that I'm just like working on launching right now. That's going to be from the 4th of April to the 8th of April. And that's going to be in Tenerife. Okay. So if anybody is interested in doing like in-person stuff and is a bit skeptical about the online, then that's perfectly fine as well. I'm setting up that space too. So all the links are there in my bio. All the links are there, and you can always send me a message as well. Like I'm pretty good at responding to people, so you can always get back to me that way as well.
Amazing. I will consider that. I'm, as you know, in Madeira right now, quite nearby. So maybe it's a good thing for me to do. It would be good to meet you in person. But for now, thank you so much for this
Yeah, that'd be
beautiful
amazing.
interview.
Yeah.
I really got a lot of interesting wisdom from you today, because I haven't really tried much ancestral healing before. But today I feel like I understand the topic way deeper than I used to. And I'm actually really curious about it even more right now than I was before we started, because it seems like there's a whole world that we can open up to if we dig even deeper into our ancestors, and that's really, really beautiful. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, and for sharing, your beautiful energy and your healing methods and everything else. And yeah, I'm sending you so much love from Madeira to Tenerife, and hope to chat to you again at some point and have you on my podcast again.